The story begins with a girl named Am-jeon sleeping in a park while sitting in a movie theater. When she wakes up, everyone around her has disappeared. She looks around and finds the theater completely empty. As she starts to leave, the doors suddenly lock. Am-jeon notices a strange spirit in the theater. Out of curiosity, she takes a picture of it. When she looks at the photo, she is terrified to see a horrifying face and an evil eye staring back at her. Panicked, she runs to the back door to escape, but the ghost follows her and attacks. Suddenly, Am-jeon wakes up. It was just a nightmare. She quickly notes down everything she dreamt about in her diary because she's a scriptwriter and director. In the next scene, Am-jeon meets her friend Chun-soo, who works in a production company. He tells her that he doesn't like her current story and warns that if they don't come up with something better, their producer might fire them both. Am-jeon asks for 2 weeks to write a good story. Later, Am-jeon sits with her friend Janso, and they discuss ideas for her next script. Janso shares a spooky story he heard back in university at film school. He says a student once made a movie for his major project. During its premiere, the movie scared everyone so much that people ran out in fear, and one person even died of a heart attack. The rumor was that the movie was made by a ghost. Intrigued, Am-jeon decides to use this story for her script. She goes to Daejeon University, where the incident supposedly happened, to learn more. The next day, she meets a professor and asks about the movie. The professor, however, doesn't know much about it because the movie was made over 10 years ago, and the names of the director and the student are unknown. Am-jeon searches through the university's documents and movie records, but she doesn't find anything. She even checks for DVDs or other evidence, but they seem to be missing. Frustrated and worried about losing her job, she struggles to find a lead. While sitting in a restaurant, Am-jeon notices a group of college students nearby. She approaches them and suggests playing a game. She explains that they can tell her scary stories, especially if they're related to the university. She adds that if the story is real, they'll earn extra points, and the winner will get a prize. The story continues with Am-jeon organizing a game where students tell scary stories. One student starts by saying that an actress died in a fire at a theater near the university, but Am-jeon interrupts, not wanting to hear about that. Another student shares a tale about a movie premiere from 10 years ago. During the screening, people ran out in fear, and one person even died of a heart attack. The student who made the movie later claimed it was created by a ghost. The ghost, named Sumi, supposedly attacked the crew filming the movie in a theater and killed them one by one. Another student jumps in, adding that the director of the film revealed that Sumi asked him what kind of movie he wanted to make. The director replied he wanted to create the scariest movie ever, called Warning, which ended up being selected for a film festival. Later that night, while at home, Am-jeon hears the sound of a running tap in her bathroom. When she checks, there's nothing there. She then has disturbing flashbacks of her past, where she was mistreated in her neighborhood. The next day, determined to learn more about the mysterious movie, she visits a production company where she knows someone. She asks a man there about the movie, and he digs into the database. He finds that the premiere for Warning was cancelled, and the movie had been archived, removed from general access. The man asks his senior to retrieve it, and the senior reluctantly agrees but warns that the movie was named Warning for a reason. No one should watch it. Ignoring the warning, Am-jeon secretly copies the movie folder onto her phone and leaves. When she gets home, she finds only a small clip of the movie in the folder. She watches the clip, which shows the abandoned Am Theater, where terrified people are being attacked by an unseen force. Curious, Am-jeon traces the person who sent the movie to the archives. She finds their contact details and tries calling, but the number is no longer active. Hoping to gather more information, she posts the movie clip on social media, believing someone might recognize it. Later, while sitting in a cafe, Am-jeon receives a call from a man. He demands that she delete the post immediately. When she asks why, he reveals he is Kim Ja-hoon, the director of the movie. Am-jeon refuses to delete the clip unless Kim meets her in person. He agrees. At their meeting, Kim insists Mi-jeon forgets about the movie entirely and suggests she start going to church. As he gets up to leave, Mi-jeon notices he looks unwell and is acting strangely. She warns Kim that if he leaves without explaining, she will repost the video. Angrily, Kim tells her to stop digging before it's too late. He also shocks her by revealing that he knows everything about her personal life, leaving Mi-jeon both scared and intrigued. After Kim leaves the cafe, Mi-jeon secretly follows him and discovers his house. Late at night, when Kim steps out, Mi-jeon sneaks into his home. The house is strange and dirty, filled with holy crosses and burning candles. Exploring further, she finds Kim's room, which is covered in disturbing drawings. Inside a closet, she discovers a bag containing the hard drive of the Warning movie. Just then, Kim returns, forcing Mi-jeon to hide under the bed. Kim mutters to himself, saying he should have destroyed everything earlier and even contemplated ending his own life. He then seems to speak to an invisible presence, asking what it wants before stepping out of the room. Taking the chance, Mi-jeon tries to escape but is caught by Kim. Kim accuses her of wanting to edit clips from the movie and create something new. He tries to destroy the hard drive, but Mi-jeon stops him. Furious, Kim begins choking her, claiming she will end up like him, living in constant fear. He insists she would be better off dead. Desperate, Mi-jeon smashes a bottle on his head, manages to push him away, and escapes. The next scene shows Mi-jeon at home with her friend Junsu, who checks the hard drive. He tells her it has been formatted, erasing everything. Mi-jeon is devastated, feeling she risked her life for nothing, and faints from exhaustion. She dreams of Kim attacking her, but she wakes up startled. Junsu reassures her that he is trying to recover the drive's contents. Eventually, he finds a hidden video on it. The video reveals footage from before the making of Warning, showing Kim and his team during auditions. One of Kim's friends asks why he wants to make a horror movie. Kim explains that horror movies saved his life. He shares a personal story. During his school years, he was bullied severely. One day, after a particularly brutal beating, he tried to take his own life and ended up in the hospital. Feeling hopeless, he watched a movie called The Exit on the hospital TV. That movie gave him the courage to live again and inspired him to recover. Kim's dream is to make a film that helps others in the same way, bringing hope and relieving pain. Hearing this, Mi-jeon realizes she shares a similar story. She, too, had been bullied, hospitalized, and found hope after watching The Exit. Later that night, Mi-jeon begins hearing strange noises coming from her bathroom. When she checks, no one is there, but as she walks away, a dark shadow briefly appears in the bathroom. Soon after, the house lights flicker, and something invisible begins to haunt her. Terrified and disturbed, Mi-jeon falls asleep but has a vivid nightmare where she sees a ghost tormenting her. Mi-jeon takes a picture of the ghost, and suddenly, the ghost disappears along with the other spirits. The lights come back on. Later, Mi-jeon is at a restaurant with Chunu. She asks him why he stays with her when she is selfish. Chunu replies that she seems like a good person. He also mentions he has read part of her script. He points out that the protagonist is a lot like Mi-jeon, and her friends in the story are similar to her real friends. When Chunu asks how the story ends, Mi-jeon tells him it's a horror story with a bad ending. However, she assures him that her story is just fiction and is very different from real life. The next day, Mi-jeon watches more recovered clips from the hard drive. The clips show Kim and his team shooting at an abandoned theater. While exploring the theater, they find an old photo of some people. The photo has a note saying the screening of the Warning movie in 1980 was cancelled. The team wanders through the theater. In one clip, Kim is seen talking to someone in a strange area where a shadow appears on the wall. He admits he wants to make the scariest movie ever but then runs away in fear. When Kim comes back to his team, he tells them he has something to do and leaves. The remaining team members discuss rumors about the theater. They say actress Sumi died in a fire here, and her ghost has haunted the place ever since. Mi-jeon decides to visit the theater herself. Meanwhile, Junsu comes to her house and plays more of the recovered footage. In the clip, Kim's crew is setting up equipment while Kim stands at a distance. Suddenly, chaos erupts. A crew member vanishes, leaving behind a pool of blood. The rest of the team panics. At the theater, Mi-jeon has a vision of what happened. She sees that Kim had abandoned his team and fled. The ghost of Sumi appeared and brutally killed the rest of the crew. The vision shows Sumi's ghost attacking the final crew member. On the theater's screen, Mi-jeon sees Sumi filming a hanging scene when a fire suddenly broke out. The crew tried to escape, but Sumi died in the fire, along with the last crew member. This explains Sumi's tragic death and the backstory of the warning movie. As Mi-jeon tries to leave the theater, Kim appears and captures her. He ties her up and pours fuel all over the place, preparing to set it on fire. Mi-jeon tells Kim that she knows the truth. He wasn't responsible for the deaths. Sumi's ghost killed the crew. However, Kim reveals a flashback. After the crew was killed, he returned to the theater, took the tapes, and edited them into a movie. He admits he was happy with his film, even though it cost his entire team their lives. His obsession with making the scariest movie had driven him to madness. Mi-jeon calls him crazy, which enrages Kim. He pours fuel on himself and sets himself on fire. At that moment, Sumi's ghost appears and hangs Kim. She begins killing him as Mi-jeon frees her hands and starts recording everything. As Kim dies, he calls Mi-jeon even more insane than him. With Kim gone, Mi-jeon escapes the theater, leaving the terrifying events behind her. Mi-jeon tries to escape, but the ghost of Sumi attacks her with a large blade and almost kills her by hanging her. Just in time, Mi-jeon uses a flashlight to save herself. She distracts Sumi's ghost and eventually kills it by burning it with a firebomb stick she finds nearby. Before leaving, she takes a picture of the burning ghost, runs out of the theater, and watches as the entire theater burns down. In the next scene, some time has passed. Mi-jeon is now at her house, surrounded by candles and pictures she had taken earlier. Later, she attends the premiere of a movie titled Warning, directed by Mi-jeon herself. The movie's story is based on her own experience. A flashback reveals that Chunu had come to the theater to save Mi-jeon, but he got trapped in the fire and died. Mi-jeon, in her selfishness, left him behind and escaped. This means the movie Warning is based on Mi-jeon's real story, narrated by her. The movie becomes a hit and people love it. Mi-jeon is thrilled with the success of her film. Now a twist is revealed. The real Warning movie, made by Kim using the footage of his crew, was known only to him. After Kim's death, the production company deleted the film from their archives, ensuring it would never be released. The owner of the production company also refused to let it come to light. With Kim gone, no one would ever know about the original film. Mi-jeon was the only one who knew about the scandal behind the film she created. The entire story of the Warning movie was happening in its own cycle, revealing people's selfishness throughout. The movie ends with a message: be careful while watching this movie. Who knows, you might also be cursed. Just kidding, of course. But the thought lingers. The story shows how selfishness drives every character. No one saved Sumi when she died. Kim sacrificed his entire crew to make a scary movie. Mi-jeon killed Sumi's ghost and let Chunu, who cared deeply for her, die in the fire. And with that, the movie ends.